Hi everybody and welcome, this is the Apostate Prophet. Many people have asked me to talk about the situation in Afghanistan and the advances of the Taliban. I have been loosely following the news, the updates on how the Taliban is proceeding and taking over city after city. The issue is, I have always favored the idea that America should get out of those countries, should stop being involved in conflicts in Islamic countries, because it is of no use to anybody anymore. All that America is doing is wasting resources, wasting the money of Americans, and trying to help or trying to impose our way of living on people who really don't like America, who really don't like the West, and who don't want any of this. When you look at Afghanistan, as soon as the American forces retreat, step back, get out, a major force like the Taliban, which was supposed to be the major enemy in the region, rapidly takes over the entire country. And that doesn't happen because they are so powerful and nobody can stop them. It happens because there is not very much resistance within the country. People don't want to point this out, but when we're talking about Afghanistan, we're not talking about a country whose population desperately wants to be secular and free, but which is forced and oppressed by an extremist group like the Taliban. No, we're talking about a country whose population mostly wants to be ruled by strict Islamic laws. Yes, even Donald Trump pointed this out several years ago. The vast majority of the population of Afghanistan wants to be ruled with Islamic Sharia law. The vast majority of people in Afghanistan believes that women must be veiled, that it is an obligation to spread Islam to others, that people who leave Islam should be punished with death, that adultery should be punished with death, and so on. Those people in Afghanistan who want to be free and who want to live a secular, beautiful life should have left Afghanistan long ago. And many of them did leave. Many of them live peaceful lives in other countries, including many of them are in the West, because they don't want the strict Islamist way of life. Those who still are there should ask themselves what they are hoping for in a country where, according to Pew Research, 99% of the population wants Islamic Sharia law. So when America leaves this country alone, and then the Taliban rapidly takes over the entire country, that is not because of some major force that the Taliban possesses, it is because there is not much resistance within this country. Because the people of this country are not people who are very fond of being led by America and becoming like America. In fact, I'm sorry to say this, but when America is there and when America tries to control Afghanistan, then the people are controlled by a force which they absolutely do not want. When the country is ruled by the Taliban, then people basically get what they want. To our Western eyes and minds, that might be oppressive and brutal and authoritarian, but to them it is what they expect. And who are we to forcibly free people from the oppression they themselves want? Now, the Taliban is an extremist Islamist force. They did terrible things in the past, oppressed people in the past. There is a long history to it. They have come back and they have said that they have changed, that they want to approach things more peacefully. Of course, that's all bullshit. They will regain their power and then impose their strict laws upon everybody again and seek to expand their Islamist ideology. They call themselves the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, and their goal is to establish Islam fully and purely and to spread Islam. The Taliban is not like ISIS. They belong to different ideologies, and they don't even like each other. And that is not because one is peaceful and the other is not. No, they are both terrible. But they belong to different Islamic schools of theology. Groups like ISIS follow the Salafi or Wahhabi ideology, whereas the Taliban follows a Deobandi ideology, which is a distinct regional ideology that is not based on traditionalist Islam, but rather on a form of theology which those traditionalist groups like ISIS consider corrupt. But these are merely theological differences and some cultural practices. In the essence, they are both authoritarian and hostile and aggressive and violent. And apparently that's what the people want. Has the presence of America, which lasted for decades, changed anything about this? Not really. Have Western forces and other forces gotten rid of this ideology? No. It is there. It is fully alive, trying to revive their ideology again in Afghanistan. And so far they are succeeding, and they will probably soon establish their Islamic authority again. You can't force people to be free if they don't want to be free, if they want to live a terrible way of life. I would see it justifiable to go in there and to forcibly change things if the majority of the population, or even half the population, or maybe even almost half the population did not want this to happen and desperately asked for help, desperately wanted others to go there and to liberate them. In this case, that is certainly not what is happening. All I hope for is that we can hopefully ideologically tackle this way of life of people that certainly affects individuals within that country who don't want it, and to make them see reason, to open their eyes, to make them stay away from Islam. That's all I want to say about this. As sad as it is to see that an Islamist force is taking over a country and once again establishing Islamic authority and power, what are you going to do about it? It may be better in the end for America to mind their own business, to take care of its own problems, as long as those forces around the world do not become a threat to parties which do not want them and do not become a threat to us. That's all I want to say about this issue, in my humble opinion. Thank you so much, and stay away from Islam.